Thank you all for coming. Today's press conference will be addressed by the Secretary for Information and Publicity, who is also the party spokesperson, Christopher Mutsvangwa. I hand over to you, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
That's my friends, comrades of the press, and all the fourth estate. I start by again thanking you for coming to ZANU PF headquarters for our presser. This is the headquarters of the permanent Zimbabwe Revolution. It is being shepherded by His Excellency Comrade President Mutsvangwa of the Republic of Zimbabwe. It's a good day today. I'm happy that you are here. The starting point is the international situation. We've seen President Trump and President Pezeshkian of Iran. They have signed an agreement to end the war between America and Iran. This war has taken a terrible toll, not only in Iran, but also within the sub-region in terms of damage to infrastructure, vital infrastructure which took long to build, which is necessary for the welfare of people in that region, but which is also very important for global economic well-being. Iran was attacked, and in retaliation, it closed the Straits of Hormuz, which is responsible for 20% of the global energy traffic, 25% of the world gas traffic, gas for heating homes, for generating electricity, and fuel for cars all over the world. We are still in the fossil fuel era. But it went beyond that to fertilizers and other commodities which are important, like helium for technology industries in Japan. Helium is needed for global chip supply chain, value chain, for the high-tech industry. So the impact of the closure of the institutions was affecting everybody in the world. Even here in Zimbabwe, we saw the pumps of fuel raising prices almost every other day since this war started. Now that the war is ended, Iran and America are fighting at each other. Zimbabwe wishes that this trajectory continues, that there be peace in the Middle East, in the Gulf of in the Straits of Hormuz, and in the Persian Gulf. It's good for the general welfare of the global community. And Zimbabwe wants to be associated with that event. Like all other well-meaning nations, we want peace and tranquility and global value chains which are not disturbed needlessly by such shocks as we had faced in the last 3 to 4 months. President Trump put it very succinctly. He did not want to become another president. I think it's Edgar Hoover or something, one of the American presidents who caused the Depression in 1929. This is the stark reality which we faced in the world when that war continued. The global depression which will have devastated the economies and ruined livelihoods. So it is a wise decision on his part that this war ends. And we are hoping that the other parties, which may not be part of it, may not be involved in the negotiations, but were involved in military activities, they take note of this general mood and restore peace, even in neighboring Lebanon, which is again being devastated by needless bombing, where communities are suffering, cities are being destroyed. So we are very happy as a country that global situation is coming back to some kind of normalcy, and we wish that trend should be sustained. As ZANU PF, we are championing friend to none, I mean friend to all, enemy to none. And we saw it, we have the highest votes at the United Nations when we came to the table and voted into the Security Council. We are really a comeback kid. Who would have thought in 2017 that such a eventuality would have been visiting Zimbabwe, to be so well received by the international community, to the point where out of 190 votes we get 180 votes. This is a good sign that the international community has got a lot of respect about the way Zimbabwe is being run. It's the same country 7-8 years ago which was being shunned by everybody, and we lost confidence in ourselves. People in the diaspora were even ashamed to try to identify themselves as Zimbabweans. But now it's a different picture. Everybody wants to be seen as a Zimbabwean. And in London there was a soccer match. We didn't need to fly a lot of players from Zimbabwe. Diasporans who are playing for the British Premier League were the majority in the Zimbabwe team in London. They now want to wear the Zimbabwe badge. They want the first of Zimbabwe. They want the Zimbabwe passport. This is a second generation of Zimbabweans who feel proud about this country in the diaspora. This is a good thing. We want that aspect to continue so that the country's prosperity creates a seamless environment between living outside Zimbabwe and living inside Zimbabwe. And why not even make it possible that living in Zimbabwe is better than living outside of Zimbabwe? Why not? This is a good thing. And in that case, we're not worried about if there's xenophobia even in our neighboring countries, because we can always accommodate our people because things are going on well at home. We don't need to worry about what goes on even in our neighboring country when they are still going through the death pains, post-apartheid death pains. So, this is a credit to our president, and it shows in the way even our internal politics has embraced the success story of the president. As I say, nothing succeeds like success. A few weeks ago, I was talking about the performance of our team in Cape 3, the Secretary General, as well as the Political Commissar, as the consultative process of Parliament was going on. Zimbabweans, they enthusiastically participated in the democratic exercise about the continuation of the term of the president, not again, I'm going to get it right, continuation of the current term of the president up to 2030. This was the slogan of the party for the past 2-3 years at our party conferences. And that message from the party on resolutions was accepted by all Zimbabweans who were part of this consultative process. MPs went to their constituencies, they organized people, teams went around, our party made sure that our members took part in those consultations. Because when MPs are doing the consultations, they are doing it for Parliament, they are not doing it for a political party. So, even in constituencies which were run by the opposition, there was so much enthusiasm for the process. It's a good thing. When Zimbabweans enjoy their democracy, they want to exercise their democracy. They fought for it, they wanted to succeed. And when the call of duty on an important national item, like the one which was being proffered by Cape 3, the Zimbabweans rose to the occasion, and the consultations went very well. And the same mood is extended into Parliament. senator from West. He is the one who was in charge of the process in Parliament. We saw the live debate which ended yesterday. People were prepared to debate even into the wee hours of the morning in Parliament because they like their democracy. Yes, there may be some shouting match here and there, but it's still in the vein of exercising democracy. And yesterday, the debate closed. There was a general support, overwhelming support for the bill. Now it is going to the committee stage of Parliament. Hopefully that stage will also be now be dispensed with quickly. And from that, the bill goes to the upper house, which is the Senate. And because a lot of the issues have been ventilated, we also think that that process should be expeditiously dispensed with. And a decision will be made by Parliament so that a bill can pass before the President for his signature, which will be the final stage of this process. Concurrently, there have been legal aspects which concern Zimbabweans raised with the judiciary. And the Constitutional Court made a decision, a ruling yesterday, basically to say you can't accuse somebody before he has acted. You can't. How would you say somebody is a thief when you are still saying he's thinking of stealing? He hasn't done anything yet. So the Constitutional Court dispensed with the legal challenges. I also respect those citizens of Zimbabwe who may have who want to go to the Constitutional Court. It is their right to do so. By the same token, when a decision is made, we also expect that everyone will abide by it. These are the three pillars of our democracy: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative. So all of them are involved in this process. There is no better jamboree of democracy than what we are demonstrating. We show that we are mature in our approach to statecraft. That's what all this process has done. That is it may, the main point which arises is the confidence with which Zimbabweans are showing the support of President Mugabe. This is the outstanding aspect of this exercise. This is the most glaring outcome that President Mugabe has got the general support of most, if not overwhelming majority of Zimbabweans in the conduct of the affairs of Zimbabwe. In a short 7 years, he has turned this country completely around. The figures coming out of the Reserve Bank show that we now have exports of over $8 billion, $10 billion US. We now have an import cover of foreign reserves of several times over what we consume every month. Our current account in Zimbabwe is in black. That's why everybody has got US dollars in his pocket. It means we are earning US dollars. We are not being given to them by America. I repeat, US dollars in Zimbabwe are not a gift of the American government. They are not even an arrangement between the Zimbabwe government and America. No, we don't have bilateral arrangements by America to get America to ship US dollars to Zimbabwe. We were under sanctions from them, we still are under sanctions. It would be illegal under American law if that were to be done by the American government. What is happening is that the market is the one determining the flow of dollars to Zimbabwe. It means this country is working so hard that you keep every day using the most difficult currency on the global market, US dollar. It means we work hard, we work harder than any other population. There are very few African countries where you can get $1 a day in your pocket. Very few. And the yardstick of the World Bank about poverty is that if you can have a US $1 a day, you can escape extreme deprivation. In Zimbabwe, everybody has got US dollars. Hard-end US dollars. The only old ones are the $1 notes and the $10 notes for change. But all the other notes, they are crispy. Where do we get them? We get them from the global marketplace. So not take this as really boxing. Happy when in American government. Musika we gold to Dubai. Musika we fortune. China and Zimbabwe. That's how we end our US dollars. So we have done well under President Nanga. The granaries are full. Don't have to beg for food every year. We used to go to the World Food Program and we were getting, every charity organization, Oxfam, this one, that one, they would know that every year Zimbabweans are starving, they will be coming and begging for food. And we will be thinking that no more of that. So our population is generally very healthy because we have now become food sufficient on our own. And we may start exporting wheat very soon. We are already exporting many other crops where we are in excess, the fruits. We go along the Limpopo Valley. Plantations are coming, mushroom all over the Limpopo Valley. Very soon it will be yellow from the border of Botswana all the way to the border of Mozambique with citrus fruits. The Zimbabweans are busy at work. Blueberries, Ontario avocados, all these are being produced by Zimbabweans from the world. That's how we are aiming our US dollars. We have made it possible. None other than President E.D. Nanga. So when you do well economically, when your population is welfare, especially food security-wise, is assured, when your population begins to export the way it does, this is a very good thing for Zimbabwe, and that's why Zimbabweans in Cape 3, they said they want President Mnangagwa to continue until 2030. Then after 2030, we see where we go from there. Hopefully, we use the interim to think seriously about the caliber of the leadership which will take over from him, so that we maintain stability, we maintain certainty in our political direction, and give assurance to business to say Zimbabwe is a good destination. Not only businessmen from Zimbabwe for domestic direct investment. Yes, Zimbabwe they are investing a lot in their own country. The house building which is going on, this is Zimbabweans. It's not foreigners mostly who are building all over. It's Zimbabweans. This is a good thing, that people are taking their money out of pillows, they are building infrastructure in rural areas now. Solar panels are everywhere. Only the other day we're getting a report from the Minister of Education, the two Ministers of Education. The jump rate in rural areas has grown phenomenally. The pass rate for grade 7 students used to be probably 15-20%. Now it is at 35%. And we are aiming for 50%. Why is it possible? Because Starlink has gone to rural areas. Pupils can now do research using the internet, which is supplied by satellites, which the government was probably himself is the one who made sure that he signs the license for Starlink. But it's not only access to cost material, it is also the availability of solar lamps. When I grew up, I wanted to do homework. I used to go firewood to try to do homework in the night after I had gone to Sakura Nama. Now, firewood light is unreliable. This is how we grew up. But now with solar energy becoming easily available, in fact, now they are saying solar is getting cheaper than even hydroelectricity from coal and thermal power stations globally. And our people, because they are doing well in the rural areas, are really affordable. The prices may not have been as good this year as they were last year, but still, it's a cash crop. Now people are buying solar lamps, they have solar chargers, they can charge their phones. It means more information again is available. So this availability of course material for pupils is the one which probably explains why the pass rate is rising, and we want more of that in rural areas. That's what ZANU PF stands for, to close the gap between rural areas and urban communities. So when we take all these things in total, President Mnangagwa has done well, and people of Zimbabwe being risk averse, they decided that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We want to go on with him. He can do more of the good work which has been doing for the country. And already he himself, as this process of Cape was going on, and he saw the vote of confidence being given to him by the parliamentary process, by the consultative process in the communities of Zimbabwe. He has now diverted his attention to casting to more economic opportunities which can be seized by Zimbabwe on the global stage. And the response has been good. A lot of business people in the UK, a lot of business people in China, a lot of business people in South Africa, and also they are saying that we want to go to Zimbabwe. This is where we are going to put money. So expect a surge in foreign direct investment in Zimbabwe. Especially now that we've removed this period of transition. You would think that there will be a difficult transition in Zimbabwe come 2028, and they become jittery about where this country will go. Now they've been reassured by our democratic processes that everything is under control and President Mnangagwa is in charge. So we are going to see a big inward flow of investments into Zimbabwe because we are advertising a risk-free, politically mature, stable democracy in the midst of Africa. At a time when opportunities for Africa are tantalizing. Everybody wants Africa's minerals. Even for Zimbabwe. Yesterday, even today, when the G7 issued its communique about critical minerals, there were two minerals which they mentioned, cobalt, and the other one is lithium. Yeah, cobalt, everybody, trucks which you see in the road from Zambia through Chinoi, going to Bayer or South Africa. Those low beds, most of them are carrying copper from DRC. They supply 80% of the world copper. But they also supply copper in Zambia. So this mineral is coming from our neighbor. But the other one which is mentioned in the G7 in Paris is lithium. Because lithium is an absolute necessity for tablets, for phones, for the new cars, which are now electric. I don't know whether you've noticed it when you are driving around Harare. A lot of showrooms are coming up of new car brands which you've never heard of. Chery, BYD, Great Wall Motors. This is the future of the vehicle industry. It's electric. And already the presence of those showrooms, even though you are not yet seeing the cars, it is a point as to where we are going as a country. Somebody is seeing an opportunity. Maybe to another service station, a petrol family, Peza, West Ham. Chitanga ikufunga kuwaka ma-service station ema-electric chargers. Some will say it's about 1 minutes. Same charger, but on a bigger scale. This is where we are going as a country. So lithium is very important in this industry. And this hard rock lithium is Zimbabwe is said to have probably 20 to 25% of the known reserves globally. So our mineral has been identified by the top 7 economies of the world outside of China, outside of India. It's a good thing that God has endowed us with this resource. And to show that our president is futuristic, as far back as 2018, when he went to China on a state visit, one of the things which he did, that was his first visit when he became president of the republic, was to ask protocol of China to allow him to go to a town called Hangzhou in a province called Zhejiang. Hangzhou is the high-tech center of China. There are many others, of course, Shenzhen. But the futuristic ones in terms of vision, not gadgets, is Hangzhou. And this is where most of the people who are involved in the new energy electric industry come from, in Zhejiang. He met them, those Chinese billionaires who were anticipating the transition from fossil fuel to electric vehicles. And they followed him to Zimbabwe. As a result, we now have Vita Lithium, we now have Arcadia Lithium, we now have 2 or 3 other major lithium producers. And he just didn't stop at asking them to come and invest in mining. He has asked them to go up the value chain to the production of lithium sulfate. Who knows, very soon we may be actually producing lithium carbonate. These are minerals which have got a very high value on the global marketplace. So Zimbabwe is becoming the global value chain member of the production of electric vehicles. Isn't that a source of pride for Zimbabweans? That when somebody is in Finland driving an electric car, the lithium inside would have come from Zimbabwe. When you are buying an electric battery in Bolivia, maybe the battery lithium came from Zimbabwe. We are part of them, not only in raw form, but in processed form. And by the president has been now in his political speeches, the last 2 political meetings, he has been highlighting the importance of Zimbabwe becoming a reliable member of the global value chain. What he's saying is that we must now conduct our affairs knowing that what we do in Zimbabwe is got a bearing on the global marketplace. A global economy, a global business. So this is a man who has restored our pride. This is a man who has given us back our confidence. And our people were very used to risk. Went through a war. We don't follow trends easily without proper consideration as to the consequences of what we may be, of our actions. So we are very cautious as a country, we are risk averse. So this is reflected in CAP 3 in giving support and confidence to a man who has survived the fortunes of this country. It's a good thing for Zimbabweans to do that, to maintain stability, to maintain certainty, so that we don't have shocks, both domestically and on the global stage. That kind of conduct by our president also deserves respect by even those who may aspire to be his political opponents. There are some within ZANU, there are some who have also within ZANU, the opposition has pretty much collapsed. Yeah, you know, like I said before, there's nothing wrong with ambition. Being politicians presuppose that we have ambition. You can't take it away from you. But what is important is to exercise with ambition, your ambition, with due respect to the support of the generality of the population, to leadership which is competent. And President Mnangagwa's leadership is proved to be competent. Yours, in your head, it may be competent, but that's not one about to be competent on the ground. So, chingosiya iwane vana vecompetent akufamba nechingi because vanhu vari kumunhu. Ambition yako ichaona zuva rayo aichaenda sei, aichaona mukana. Because there have been 3 or 4 people whom social media has been promoting. Now you see, the problem with social media is that everybody has become a publisher. Yeah, it's a good dad, it's a good ngishasha zvitaurwa kudai dzazara paposition and population is being vexed by publications of mostly wayward individuals who may have ambition and who want to voice that ambition on the populace using social media. No, give the population a break. The population is shown that it is mature. Show that you are a mature politician by acting in a similar conduct, in a conduct befitting an electorate which is so wise, a parliament which is so capable, which is so conscious of its duty. So I don't want to mention names, because why they are most of them are my colleagues. They are still in the same party. So why mention names? But Pagani Party, wherever they may be, I think after this process it gets they are now president and break. I mean, there's nothing wrong to an over president. You don't all self now. Maybe human beings, they've got a different chemistry. It knows one or many other issues. But what Vaiko, how come you're not president, one responsibility, when you guys are going to pass on, I have to see your president. I speak because I want to defend the integrity and the personality of the president of my party. I'm appealing to those that we will now throw more caution and to exercise more caution about how they deport themselves should they find favor of being near power. Inopengesa wafika padhuze naye unotanga kumira maningi padhuze inopengesa isusu takabva naye kune tiri vana adiki takaveitsvaga we tend to be very measured about power because we know where it comes from, but vamwe vanoita kukana vaenda padhuze dayavambosiya president nechimiro chavo nekusapakwa kwanoitwa nevanhu vovarespecta madirwa avanoitwa nevanhu. And also, I say this because I've got to address it. I've got a picture of a newspaper using my name to denigrate another person. I'm not privy to the politics of that person. That's all. But I have no power to be running over him because I only exercise power I don't want as a spokesperson and president. I really had nothing to do with this area. I want to make it clear. I had nothing to do with this area. Yes. It doesn't mean that I support the individual. I'm not purporting to support that individual. I'm not purporting to promote him. I just want to, I am doing nothing. And I'm very cautious about mentioning names. Because the party mentioned, if I start mentioning names in the party, how do we then relate Mangwani, Kanata, Papa Science? I don't mention names in the party. So, your party's journalists really don't attribute something which I have not said, and then try to use my party spokesman role as a betting stick in settling scores about ambition. No, I'm not involved in that. I have no dog in this fight. I've said it before. I don't want to have a dog in this fight. My allegiance is to the president. He's doing a good job. The party is happy with him. The population is happy with him. I want him to continue until 2030. And Parliament has said the same thing. It is the lower house. We expect the upper house to do the same thing. And very soon, I think the bill will be available. So, I just wanted to clarify that point about social media. Everybody has become a publisher, but let's not abuse it to try to hoist it as if it is the be-all of everything about Zimbabwe. Vamwe Zimbabwe havana basa nezvimwe zvekutonga. Havana basa nezvizvi. Vanhu vari kuda kungotsvaga kuti it becomes a side show to take away Zimbabwe's attention from the serious job of getting food to the family, of growing an economy, of growing exports, of state, of being successful business people. We now want to be judged by Sunday Basaris. No. We want to, let's put all our ducks in the proper order. That's what I feel about social media. So by and large, that's what I wanted to say. We are happy with the CAP process. It has vindicated the resolutions of ZANU PF about the judgment of their leader. Because it's a parliamentary process of which we only take part as one of the players. And our resolutions are in resonance with the thinking of the populace of Zimbabwe, which sends representatives to parliament. And they have spoken, so President Mnangagwa can refocus his attention to what he does best, which is to build a thoroughly modern economy which will surprise the world. That economy coming from Africa. But where do I go, President? When he starts speaking of value chains, he is fully aware of the responsibility which Zimbabwe is beginning to assume in the global economy. At this point, we are as a country. No, we've arrived as a country. We are now part of the global value chain. What we've done in India, we want to do it in steel. America now has to build a lot of infrastructure to catch up with countries like China. Because the realization from this conflict in Persian Gulf is that America realized the world is multipolar. Even now, they are now realizing that the world is multipolar. There's no more one center of power in the world. You saw these are not Trump himself acknowledging that if Russia and China had been involved in Iran, it would have made their task much worse than what it would have been. This is America, the American president himself. So he's becoming fully aware of America's responsibility as the number one global power in the world. This is a good thing when the superpower becomes aware of its global responsibilities and acts in such a way that there's no disturbance of world shocks in the global community. It may mean that America will direct more of its resources away from warfare, building weapons, to developing its own infrastructure, its own economy. Why not? It's a very competent country, America. If it can apply its resources to the growth of the American economy, it will do very well like it has done in the past. But what does that do? It creates market demand. And what does market demand do? It gives opportunities for other countries to also become prosperous. And good fortune favors the prepared. And President Mnangagwa has made Zimbabwe prepared for the eventuality. We are now producing steel, world-class quality steel. And we've got the resources to producing whatever amount of steel. All those mountains in Manila are steel. Why not have a battery of steel plants along the Manila ranges producing steel for the global market? Because President Mnangagwa has shown that by proof of concept that an inland African country without a cost can produce steel rather than it's not raw ore, which would have been expensive for Zimbabwe. So we produce steel. So proof of concept is there. And this is a man who has done it, what Africa has done. This is a road which Africa has never traveled before. The steel plants which used to exist were inherited from apartheid colonial era. And there was a feeling that Africans cannot produce a modern steel plant. Zimbabwe changes the matrix. An African country now produces world-class steel. For your own information, England is struggling to have a steel plant come back to its economy. But we should be, as soon as Zimbabwe is actually nice. So we can grow this industry. And we have a neighbor who is doing very well, Mozambique, in energy. I mean, we need to highlight Zimbabwe that billions are being put in Cabo Delgado and Mozambique. This is about 1 hour, 20 minutes away from here by plane. The biggest investment all around the African continent is going on there for gas, because Mozambique is going to become number 3 after Russia and Qatar. Yeah. And this other area is proving that there can be instability in the Middle East. So Mozambique can become a sanctuary of sustained gas production. And they are our neighbors. So we're going to build thermal gas stations in Mozambique to generate electricity. We bring it by transmission lines, using steel from an easy to build transmission lines. Can you imagine the prosperity which we will entail from all that? Then we can produce steel cheaper than even China, which accounts for 60% of the global steel industry. Let's dream big as a country. It's possible, it can be done. And who has shown that it can be done? President Mugabe. We are very lucky that he has been our leader for the last 7 months. If he had been 7 years, maybe he should have been there earlier, where we would be somewhere much further than where we are today. But it doesn't matter, better late than never. And because of that pedigree which he has shown, vision, respect for capital, that capital changes people's lives. That was absent in the First Republic. So more capital is going to come into Zimbabwe. Please don't be distracted by Magu has never brought a company to invest to show that what he's talking about can be done. Chake kumaka dzaunzwa nevamwe zvamaita hazvisi zvamaita imbonzo chako toona by example kuti chako chinoita mandiri pane kungomakwa zvinoitwa panext door. This is, no, we want people who are positive. When you feel that something is not being done properly, go and look for an investor who demonstrates the standards which you are demanding. And what does it do? It induces competition in the economy. So that excellence comes from competing to show that you can produce better labor conditions, better quality products, better community responsibilities, all those things which you are saying that the benchmarks can be done better. Go and get that company. Let it be the market. Let it prove itself that it can be done. And when it is done, it will outcompete that one which you are criticizing. I don't know who criticize any group or who knows Zamanishan. Every time we criticize, now we are Zamanishan at one about Zamanishan. So we got all these people who are, I'm not saying that it's all rosy. We have challenges. Some of the industries are very young. We have challenges in all the industry. It has grown very rapidly in 10 years. There are still things which need to be perfected. And I want to salute the First Lady. She was in Chebutu 2 days ago. Here we have startup companies. The startup Zimbabwe gold company. Yema SMEs. Now producing probably number 2 or number 3 gold. Magari mining. It's bigger some of the big mines which you know. Organizing all those SME gold miners in Chebutu. I'll tell you a story. He came to me, Magaya Mining, as a lawyer 3 years ago. He said, "Long term, I've been sent by my client as a lawyer. I want your blessing to evict all the 10 to 15,000 SME miners who are at that mine in Chebutu. I don't want to name the name of the mine." I said, "You see, your currency, the currency of your boss is gold. My currency, as the top politician in Mashona and the West, coming from Chebutu, is votes. If you are going to be evicting 15,000 to 20,000 miners, SME miners from that gold rush, per mine here, animal claims, legally, it means I will kiss goodbye the next seat of parliament. Because all those people will not vote for us, for me. They say I will be responsible for evicting them from their livelihoods. So I've got a better proposition. Can you not go and organize those people as SMEs to mine responsibly? And when you organize them, they will dig all the surface gold, which your company is not interested in. Because you are a big miner, you come for big things. You just push all this rubble when you are mining. You want the deep veins. So they will clean up all the surface gold for you. And then maybe they prospect for you because you don't need to say prosperity. By them doing that, you know which claims, which shafts are better than the others. He went back. 2 years later, he came, he says, Ambassador, come and see what we have done. I went there, I was most surprised. Well organized SME miners with their mounds of ore, all of it being milled. Now, they are one of the top gold producers. They've gone to Kwekwe, they've gone to now Blawayo, in some South, Gwanda area. They are there, and they are doing it so well. Safety is assured, they expect fidelity is there, environment is restored, organized mining. Maybe this is a template which we now need for Africa because gold is everywhere. This is when the first lady visited Magaya mining and was highlighting some of these aspects. These are innovations from the Zimbabwean SME sector. You know, remember, gold is responsible for most of our gold, our gold, our hard currency, our zinc. The strength of our zinc, it comes from gold production. So these are the innovations which the President Mnangagwa has allowed in the economy. And the First Lady was highlighting this aspect. We need to make sure that that industry continues to improve so that generally when a young man goes to mine, the wife knows he's coming back, the shaft is not going to cave in and lose her husband, or the mother is going to lose her sons. And there's also the problem of silicosis. Sometimes they are mining without the right equipment. It's a new industry. It needs more attention. These are challenges. But the main thing is that President Mnangagwa has given an opportunity for that industry to thrive to the level where it is today. And this is a good thing for this country. So the spread of prosperity is not just to the big companies. It is also to lower companies. So this is what the President has done, and the First Lady was highlighting that. The last point I want to make, we don't want to, in English there is a phrase which says, give a dog a name, then beat it. Yeah. The name Ziganani, I know it from the war. I was at Chiteka College. It generally referred to what is called the petty bourgeoisie. In Marxist class analysis, human beings, human society, people are placed in classes. And there's a class struggle between one class and another, the workers, the peasants, the middle class, then the super rich. This is generally Marxist theory about how society develops. So the petty bourgeoisie was translated to but this is about society. Now, because people were ambitious for power in the 1976 Russian rebellion, they started labeling somebody with Chiganant Muhondo. But being labeled in a class is in relation to ownership of property. You own a property. So how do you label somebody Chiganant Muhondo simply because of ideas? So behind it was an attempt to create power. So you start labeling others. So I'm very that's why I don't want to mention names all the time when you are criticizing each other. If you start labeling other people with Gananda, then out of that you're now saying no, it's not right. There's nothing wrong about acquiring property. There's nothing wrong about having a middle class as a country. The stronger your middle class means is the more stable your society is. Because people with property are not prone to behave in a certain manner. That's why by land reform we gave everybody properties back. So by definition, vanhu vese vane minda vakapiwa minda vazvigananda. Vanhu vese varikuchera migodi varikupiwa mashafti zvazvigananda because they got property. Now you abuse that term now, you want to use it for political purposes because you've got ambition as a politician. And uda kutaura zvinhu zvekuda kutaura zvakaitika uda kusenzesa kuti muhondo zvindakaziva kuti ndikazodaiwa. We don't do it. That's not the way to go as a country. And if you aspire to be leadership at the national level, by labeling others as Zimbabweans. It's not right. That's not the way. We must not divide ourselves. If there is bad conduct, let it be at individual level, but not have a whole classification of people. And it's incidental. Varungu vazhinji vakaita inherit money from the colonial year. They are bigger zvikananga if you do situation to proper. Saka kana mari yaitwa nemboyi ane mhosva ikaitwa nevarungu nevamwe vese nemaindia haina mhosva, hakuna zvikananga ikoko. Zvinongowanikwa ikoko. No, we shouldn't do that. And I think we Zimbabweans deserve better from political leadership at the highest level, especially that leadership which has got a background here. We need to carry ourselves in such a manner that our conduct is beyond reproach. It's not right to label, to start labeling and then there are laws in the country, there are courts in the country which people who have infractions about their conduct. And they say court I don't know because I really means punishing upenzi. Vanowanikwa futi mapenzi society. So as a party that we frown upon the idea that you give a rubric, a label to other Zimbabweans and then use that label to settle political scores with them. No, that's not the way we should go as a country. When I South Africa where they label each other, almost government wasting resources, quite xenophobia, quite a demonstration, it was on three. It's also we are tranquil as a country because we refuse, we united as a country, as the whole population to fight one enemy. So why do we want to divide each other? I want to go on that score, but I will entertain any questions.